Arya Chorosia. This is a very, very relevant topic because our country is facing a lot of shortage of housing facilities, particularly affordable housing and this mass housing. So these particular practices like prefabricated and all that are very important for a faster construction, for a better quality, and for a better providing the opportunities to the more number of people in the country. So, sir, thank you very much for accepting our invitation to present a very relevant topic for the participants of our program. We hope that all the participants will be greatly benefited by your expertise. So I again welcome you for this presentation. Thank you very much. Your mic is unmuted. Actually. Unmute the mic.
Yes, sir, your microphone is mute.
Done. Okay. So now, am I audible now?
Yes.
Thank you so much. So, okay. So, shall I start now? Okay. So, good morning, everybody, and I welcome you all to this webinar. And I'm very much thankful and grateful to Dr. Amit and Ms. Monica for very nicely coordinating this particular activity, and also to Dr. Sharma for a very brief and nice introduction. Uh, and now we are passing through a very critical phase of COVID-19, as all you are aware. So I wish you all for safe stay. I cannot say stay home, but wherever are you should be a very safe stay. And as pointed out frequently, that whenever this kind of a disasters, a pandemic happens, it gives an opportunity for all of us to learn new things in terms of a technology, in terms of a searching problems and their solutions, cost-effective solution. So let us take this particular pandemic also in that spirit. And when you look at the construction sector, so everybody now in this particular meeting is from construction industry. So everybody has to think of what will be the impact of COVID-19 on this construction industry. So definitely we will see that on the policies issues, on the manpower front, on the technological issues, and everybody will come with the negative things. But let us search out a way forward. How can we embed and intervene the technologies to meet out this particular things, so that our housing demands which are there, that is fulfilled. So with this spirit, I will begin my presentation, and my outline of my presentation would be a motivation for this particular topic, then the technology levels where the India is standing as of now, then the component levels prefabrications which is being practiced in our country, then whatever the emerging technologies which are there, whether how to put it those technologies in our practice, that is a big question mark, and what are the way forward to do that. So definitely it has to be evaluated, functionally efficient, safe. So for that purpose, it has to be tested in the laboratory and then to taken to the field. So that one case study I will discuss. Thereafter, there are different type of technologies, emerging technologies, I should say, in the prefabricated construction for housing or any building industry. So that can be separated out in terms of the material used, that is concrete, steel, or light gauge steel, and different kind of a material for different non-structural members like light gauge steel, EPS, and all. And then we will discuss certain things about the TNETs, what is the requirement for getting all these technologies into the practice. Then way forward, advanced technology, next generation technology, I should say, that is still at the evolution stage, that is on the 3D concrete printing. And at the end, as usual, a conclusion or summary. So to begin with a formal presentation, so I will put a keyword for this particular presentation. It is on prefabricated construction as directed to me by Dr. Goel. That is, keywords are prefabricated construction, technologies, and mass housing. So my presentation will take around these three keywords only. So when you are talking about the mass housing, so you know the government of India has launched a very ambitious program on mass housing, that is housing for all, basically which caters to meet the needs of housing need rather to the lowermost person or common person who is lying in the bottom layer of the pyramid from socio-economic considerations. So with this, the statistics says that our country is passing through a very shortfall of a housings for economically weaker sections and for the middle income groups. So that is amounting, and that has been again divided into two, that is urban and rural. So in urban sectors, by 2022, we need at least 1 crore houses to be constructed, and this figure will go on increasing by 2030 and 2015 if we extrapolate it by a tune of around 2 to 5 fold respectively. Similar things is also reflected in the rural sector also. So when we see this particular demand and we have a very good ambitions, and if we follow the present construction scenario which we are now practicing, so if we look at the construction sectors in India, so 70% of market share is in building, rest of the 30% is for the civil infrastructure development. And as you know, in the present scenario also, that the construction sector is one of the key sector or key vertical in contributing the national development in terms of a GDP, which is having around 12 to 15% of share in GDP of a country. And for that purpose, if we strengthen this particular sector, definitely it will take our country to the newer heights. When you see, and for that purpose, we have to intervene into technologies. But for that purpose, when we are following, that is on the traditional construction or a cast in situ or monolithic construction, so which has lot of impediments or shortcomings, I should say. If the conventional technologies we follow, it is suffering from slow speed of construction, high maintenance cost, skilled labor are oriented. It is multidisciplinary approach, involvement of many trades, high cost of land, and complex construction procedure, and quality control and quality issues, and all these things are parallelly are there. So for that purpose, if we follow this similar trend, and when contrary, when we look at the demand what we have for in the housing sector in the country, so it is a huge demand, and with the present pace, we will be able to finish only or address only 15% of the construction, and due to this there will be huge backlog will be created. And with this speed, if I want to meet out the target, it will take at least 10 to 12 years to achieve that. And what will happen to the backlogs which will be generated during this year? And for that purpose, certainly the supply is not commensurate with the demand, and for that purpose we need to go for technologies, and that is prefabricated or precast technologies are very important. These technologies, why we are supporting, is because of the simple reason that they are easy to handle, easy to transport, easy to cast. And for that, for achieving this easy things, we have to streamline our working style. In the working style, I will say the standardization and modularization of your construction systems, plan, designs, housing systems should be done. To a large extent, it has been addressed in the NBC 2016. And similarly, we have to take the multidisciplinary approach so that there will be good combination between electrical, plumbing, and other things, because most of the problems in the existing buildings will find because of poor coordination in different verticals. So if we look at the government of India's Housing for All mission, government is also looking for technologies which should be disaster resilient housing. So these are the basically DNETs: disaster, fire, landslide, rainfall, flood, and everything. Better quality of construction, low maintenance, speedy construction, cost effectiveness, sustainability issue is nowadays very given more impetus, that is on environmental friendly materials to be used. And energy is also very much important. Low carbon footprint should be. Our Prime Minister Honorable Modi ji inaugurated a global housing technology challenge in Delhi, and in which 16 technologies have been selected, identified, and it has been classified as a proven. So please try to understand the difference between the technologies and proven technologies. Proven technologies are those technologies which are meeting these TNETs, and those technologies are only recommended for putting into use or to the practice, so that whatever our common people will get, the building technologies may be a new thing, it should be a proven, so that tomorrow there should not be a blame game happens. So for that purpose, when we see a global level, the technology level, what are the technology levels and where the India is standing. So there are 5 different construction technology levels are there. That is level 0 to level 4. First level is material centric, in which you are gathering all cement, sand, units, all those things, and then construction. That is the traditional construction, the way we are practicing right now. Our country, around 90% of present construction in housing sector is happening in the level 0, whereas only the 10% shares are in prefabricated or alternative building technologies or the traditional constructions. Whereas the level 1, which comprised of a component level, so that is a fabricated in the factory or at site, can't be built on site, and assist in construction quality and speed and quality. So this is a component level, that is either only staircases, columns, beams, shajja, like that. The level 2 is the elemental or planar system, that is on a linear or 2D component, in which the series of prefabricated elements are assembled to form a shell. It is again manufactured either in the factory or very close to the site, mechanized or semi-mechanized, and after bringing to the site, after transporting these elements to the site, then assembling. So most of the technologies I'm talking about in our country, the 10% class lies in between level 1 and level 2. Unfortunately, we have not reached to the level 3, that is a volumetric system, in which the 3D component, the form of module is there, volumetric forms is completed, all in factory, brought to the site, and simple connected, and that is adding extra pace, speed, and cost effective also. But for that purpose, you have to be very careful while transportation, your transportation system, road sectors, and other things, additional burden will come. So we have to maybe 5 to 10 years down the line, we may achieve the level 3 and 4. So in level 3, whatever the volumetric system we see, that is a semi-finished. The finishing in terms of the finishes, external, interior, architectural finishes, electrical and other plumbing items, that has to be done in the site after assembly. Whereas in the level 4, it is simple, just like a car, you are getting it from the showroom. So everything is inbuilt then and there itself. Simply bring it to the site. Here we are not bringing the car, but it is a building system, rooms or units of a building, and then putting in place and connecting and assembling it appropriately by different technologies. So this is a complete building systems. So we should, so the way we are moving from level 0 to 1, definitely speed is achieved to a large extent. In all cases, we have to ensure that the safety is addressed properly. Apart from that, sustainability, rebuildability, and reconstructability should be addressed. So with this level of presentation, so it is we have to take as a whole to reach to level 3 and 4 with our all contribution. So for that purpose, CBRI has already envisaged all these aspects 3 decades back, and brought out different prefabricated or precast technologies, but again, it was on a component level. That is a hollow concrete blocks, the lightweight blocks, RC plank joint systems, brick panels, roofing systems, and at the same time to increase the manufacturing process, semi-mechanized production of precast building components have also been done to a large extent. So in this, the this advantage of this precast construction technologies is so simple that it is done under a strict quality control. The mechanization is in between, and only standardization and modularization you have to be very careful, and you have to be very extra careful during the transportation. If you don't take a proper considerations, then the minor hair cracks or damage or distress to the component may likely to happen during transportation, and so you have to be very careful on this front. So mechanization has also been embedded in whatever the technologies which has been developed at CBRI, and which has now been put in several locations across the country, specifically in the housing sector, in the urban and rural sector. I'm very happy to share with you that in last 6 months, 3 lakhs houses have been constructed in Orissa state using this particular technologies, and importantly, in the latest cyclone it has performed exceptionally good. And whenever you are bringing any technologies to give it to the common man of this country, you have to be very extra careful that it should be socially acceptable, societally it should be acceptable. Tomorrow, whatever the technology you give, and ultimately he has to spend his life, and if that is not meeting a comfort level to him and functionalities aspect of a common person, then it is makes no sense. So apart with this, again some mechanization has been done by CBRI in terms of the give the accelerated speed to the construction process by making use of power trowel, egg laying machines. So basically it is a manufacturing process of the blocks, then stationary block making machines, then mini climbing crane, then hollow core units. So these are some of the building components, mechanizations, interventions CBRI has done last 3 decades or so. If we see from CBRI to the market, then we will see a lot of things are happening at the site, and it is up to the engineer in charge at the site to take these technologies into put to use, so that minimum interventions of manpower and speed and overall economy and safety aspects are addressed properly. So, तो कैसे करें? तो हमारे तो ऐसे पूरा है, मेरे को तो कोई आवाज ही नहीं आ रही सर, क्लियर है ना? So I'm sorry. So if for that purpose, if we see the shuttering aspect, then there is now a technologies which is, I'm again going what is happening into the market. So rail climbing is another technologies. A single person can handle this equipment and do its day-to-day working fast. Then method of shuttering. Now gone are the days when we are bringing or depending upon the props in terms of a bullies or hollow circular pipes and all. Now there is a technology which is very light in weight, good in strength, very easily flexible. When you are varying the height of a building, then that can be managed properly. And when you see a casting of a slab, what happens? Normally you will see, okay, slab is a casting, we will remove the shuttering after 14 days. Why? To code already says that you can remove the shuttering from the soffit of the slab after 3 days, depending on the span and other things, and you can keep the props for 7 days or 14 days, depending upon the span of the beam. And what we do, because of lack of knowledge, we are putting entire shuttering for 14 days, 21 days. So many people, they have their own concepts, and as a result, our cycle time for per story is getting increased exorbitantly high. But these are the new technologies of shutterings in which you can remove the beam slabs of it within the specified time, and you can leave this props as it is, and they are very flexible. If the there is a variation in the story height, most of the times you will see to go to the site, people putting the bricks packing as a packer, 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how much, and most of the times accidents are happening just because of dislodging of those brick layers. So to avoid that, adopt the technologies, make your construction safe and good construction output. Another component which has been attempted are the couplers. When you see the reinforcement laying or connection of the reinforcement in the construction sectors. So traditionally, we are following the lapping of the reinforcement bars. We've lapped by a length of anchorage length, that is, in case of M20 grade concrete, 48 times the diameter of the bar. But nowadays, and it is a very challenging aspect when we are going for the higher diameters. And alternatively, we can make use of a couplers. Our IS 13920/2016 also recommend to make use of this, subjected to evaluation of this couplers from mechanical considerations. In this, again, advantage of making use of the couplers is that the laps, as our code again 13920 suggests, that lap should not be more at one particular section more than 50%. So you can, but when you are using the couplers, you can go for the 100% lap at one particular locations. Now, what is coupler? Coupler basically means the end-to-end connections of reinforcement bars. The way these are the couplers, and these are used, and these are internally threaded, and they are connected through the threading end-to-end to the reinforcement bars. Only when you see the cost economics, these are very feasible from 16 mm dia to 32 mm dia and all. But below that diameter, it is cost efficacy doesn't meet out. So it is basically, if we can make use of couplers, definitely we will make a large amount of saving in lapping of steel, and at the same time, a safety is ensured. Apart from the couplers, so as I said, the couplers are basically connecting the reinforcement bars end to end. What happens to the joints? Whenever you see the post-earthquake damage scenario, you will find that the beam column joints are most affected. Reason behind that, the reinforcement detailing, whatever has been told by the ductile detailing code 13920, which is not being followed. If at all designer gives it at site, it is unable to attain because of congestion of reinforcement. Then due to congestion, honeycombing happens. Then at the as a result, you compromise with the designed beam column capacity. Most of the times you see you recommend that L bend should be given at the joints, but at the site, maybe because of different reasons, it is not possible. It is ignored. What is the way out for that? So we have brought in or designed a headed bar. Now the headed bars are attached to it is basically a mechanical anchorage system. It is attached at the end of the reinforcement bars, and reinforcement bars is embedded, and this is specifically very good application at the end span region. And in this, the reinforcement bars is inserted within the beam column joints at least to a half of the depth, and it is connected either by threading or by forge friction welding. And what is the novelty of this headed bars? This is easy workmanship, cost effective, fast construction, enhanced bond capacity, better than the ductile, whatever the capacity you achieve by the headed bars for the beam column joints. And it can be implemented even in the cast in situ construction as well as precast constructions. So definitely, when this technology we have evolved at CBRI in last 1 or 2 years, so definitely before bringing to the code, it has to pass through different tests. So we have conducted several tests on this, and as a result of the test and the cost techno-economical feasibility also we have worked out. So here as well we have observed that these are the couple headed bars which can be attached either, as I have explained, but techno-economically in this case, without compromising the capacity of the beam column joints, they are very good feasible for the bar more than 12 mm diameter to you can go up to 32 mm diameter. And as a result, you will be making a saving very less, around 5% when it is applicable for the 12 mm diameter, whereas to the tune of 60% when you are using 25 to 30 mm dia bar. At the same time, it is adding speed and other quality aspects. So this particular technology can also be implemented for getting better beam column joints in our building systems. Because whether it is a building or a human being, joints are very critical, very important. So that's why this is one of the new innovations which we have added to the in the recently, and this will be embedded within the code of 2020, which is under development. Now, again, when we need to add the speed to the construction, mechanization is the only way out. So this will reduce the manpower requirement, but a safety and speed will also be added to our prevalent construction technologies. So in this, you see the cranes are being used in high-rise constructions by big contractors. We want to make this particular cranes affordable, bring it back for a two-story, even three-story buildings. We very rarely see that the cranes are being utilized or in the construction process for 2 to 3-story building. But technological interventions, we made it. And in this, you didn't require a huge platform for installation. The cost is also very simple, and you can mount this particular crane on the floor also, and it can be movable also. So, and the capacity of the crane can be varied. It is 4 ton per meter we have designed, and which is within the normal construction of a housing sector buildings. We are doing it. So this is we are naming it as an affordable mobile crane. Apart from that, whenever you go for a finishing of a building, plastering machine is also very much important that we have developed. Again, cost effective and other things are there, but it is portable. And what edge it is having, it is definitely adding, it is giving a good finish, very fast. And even a USP of this particular plastering machine is that if in between during the plaster, if you are coming across with any opening, it is embedded with the sensors. Whenever the opening comes, that sensors will not allow the pump to spray the plaster mortar on the wall. And as a result, you reduce the wastage happening, and it is adding speed. And again, what is the process? This tray is moving like from bottom to the top, and whatever the rebound plaster mortar you are getting, so we collect in the tray which is provided at the bottom. So loss of material, wastage of material is also reduced and affordable. So this is there are several plastering machines available in the market, but this is something different and can be adopted very easily in ongoing housing sectors projects. Then more prevalently, we are used to using brick burnt solid clay brick units as a for walling systems. But nowadays, if we follow the brick units, it will take longer time. So alternatively, there are a number of products which are coming in. That is AAC, that is autoclave aerated concrete blocks. Now we have come out with the lightweight cellular concrete panels, in which it is almost 600 mm long, 140 mm width or 200 mm width, depending upon the loading, and having a good compressive strength. And in between, it was made hollow. So as a result, the weight is also reduced, and basically it accommodates the reinforcement bar and connectivity along horizontal as well as in vertical direction. What is the USP of these blocks is it is basically safe, first of all, for axial and lateral load, very fast in construction, functionality aspect very good in thermal and acoustic insulation point of view. Sustainability is a very important aspect we have been added, because it is basically makes use of a waste product that is fly ash, and with the good durability. Aesthetic is also better, very good interlocking between the units and unit, and speed it is giving to an enormous thing. If you are making any construction by the conventional practice and using the lightweight cellular panels, definitely you will save to the tune of 70% of your time, apart from the 20% of cost. So this is a promising technology which can be put in either as a infill walls or to the load bearing structures as well. So for that purpose, again, we have gone into various kind of tests. I will not go into those states at the moment. Now, after learning this technologies, by now whatever I have discussed, that is on the component level or a mechanization point of view. But now we need to go from component level to the system level. But before going to the system level, we need to understand the end user's requirement, his thinking, because he is my customer. So for that purpose, what he looks for is affordable, and means economy is prime concern. Thereafter, speed he wants at a very and then acceptable external appearance, comfort level, thermal insulations and acoustic insulation, reasonable amenities it should embed, then required usable area it should get, enclosure should be comfortable, and require minimum and no maintenance afterwards. For that purpose, to meet the aspirations of a user or a common man, we need to have a better coordination among different stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Owner is already there, but apart from that, architect, structural engineer, government has to also put it on the board, and then role of the promoter, developer, builder, constructor, everybody has to come sing a song in the same tone, then only my customer will be happy. So with this basic requirement or prerequisites, you have to address through the technological intervention on a system level. So for that purpose, we again, as I said earlier also, we have to take help of technologies. When we look at the technology on a system level in our country or across the globe, we will see there are majorly there are three verticals. Conventional building systems, you are well aware. Then cast in situ formwork that you must have come across, Aluform, Maiwan constructions, that is a stay in place or removable formwork systems. That is that formwork may be of steel, aluminium, plastic, or different materials. And when you're talking about the system level, there are again the system level we are benchmarking on the basis of material used, that is the concrete, in which in our country 3S building systems, which is basically makes use of precast beams, columns, cellular lightweight panels or RCC walls, and large RC panels as a slabs, precast wall panels. So this is one of the very promising technologies and widely being used in the country. In India, if you have seen the ongoing construction activities happening near Rohini, Narela in Delhi, so almost 1,25,000 houses have been constructed in 6 months, right from foundation to the finish. So again, thanks to this particular technologies, in which most of the migrant labor workers are being quarantined in these buildings. So these buildings have been constructed in 6 months by DDA from 4-story to 25-story. So this is proven technology. What is proven? I will come next. Apart from that, there are other technologies, that is the expanded polystyrene core panel systems, then fast-made, fast-track modular systems, JFRC, then speed floor construction systems, that is basically of steel, makes use of steel structures building systems with any kind of infills, and the light gauge steel frame buildings, and stay-in formworks are always there. So when broadly Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs looks at that, also although the CBRI was part in that selection process, we have outlined these technologies in these verticals, that is a precast construction, large panel construction, tunnel form technology, then the lightweight construction technology, cold form steel, JFRC and EPS. So what are these different technologies? Let us come and go into detail. But before that, I will tell you what exactly you understand by means of the proven technologies. So with the case study of a 3S building system, 3S is a trade name, which is basically the PG Shirke Construction Technology Private Limited, Pune, is the pioneer and patented technology of there. But CBRI is involved at time to time, including IIT Mumbai, for evaluation of this system. So what are the tests we have conducted? I will share these things. So basically 3S stands for strength, safety and speed, but with the change in time, sustainability has also been added. So now we can say this is a 4S system, and basically 3S system is a component in which components either in the form of a column, beam, slabs are manufactured in the factory. By the time these components are getting manufactured in the factory, the foundations are done conventionally as per the site requirements and loads and soil investigation report. And once this you are finishing your foundation work, all this superstructure manufacturing. I'm saying word manufacturing just because we are not doing this particular thing one or two. It is in lakhs. Again, I want to pinpoint a very important aspect. What do you understand about the mass housing and these precast technologies? These technologies are feasible for the mass housing projects only if you say only one single unit or 10 units I want to make. I think the cost viability will not give you a promising output. So for the mass housing, you have to have a fixed sum of orders. Then only the mass this prefabricated technologies are very successful. As I mentioned earlier, that in this particular technologies, these are the prefabricated columns in which the embedded reinforcement is all there as per the designs. Then the columns are provided with the notches. Whatever the reinforcement are there, that is embedded within the periphery membrane. These are the beams, and in these beams, as per the design, reinforcement is there. But these are the half-filled beams. Only the lateral ties top portion is, or stirrups, you can say, top portion is protruded outside to accommodate the slab connectivity with the beams and take out my hanger bars. So how apart from that, this staircase, chajja, and all these components are manufactured in the factory, brought to site and assembled. So, so this is the picture which gives. These are the precast columns, precast beams, precast slabs. Then these are the Ciporex slab, very lightweight slab, and these are the RC wall precast. Or otherwise, if you have a lift, entire lift can be manufactured at the factory and brought into site and put it layer by layer the way you are doing the brickwork and connect it appropriately so that your lift well can be constructed within a week or so for when you take a case of 10-story building or so. So basically, if to understand better how this particular technology executes, this particular visual is very clear. In this, the prefabricated precast columns are here, and with the protruded reinforcement with notch, precast beam has gone into fixed in the notches, so that because of these notches, you did not have to put any support mechanism. Once it is fixed, then you are placing the slabs, and after which the reinforcement is also anchored properly within at the beam column joints, and then after the slabs and beams are connected properly, you are placing a minimum scred concrete into it, nominally reinforced. A 40 mm thick concrete is placed on a floor, so that gives a rigid diaphragm action between the column, beam, and slab. So and advantage of placing this reinforcement in the scred concrete is control of the cracks and giving the integral diaphragm action. So this is achieved, and this is a very fast process. Only you need to do the assembly part. So you can see next building here. This is a building from Navi Mumbai, 24-story, constructed within a span of 8 months. Apart from the foundation, right from foundation to the top to the finish. So the pictures at the bottom shows how the erection process is being done through visuals and in actual site. But now it is very interesting to see how the production is happening in the factory. To see how the reinforcement done, or cutting and bar bending and other things not done manually, but it is controlled by the CNC machines for as per the actual and proper detailed drawing. So this is how the production facility for straightening, cutting, bending, caging, meshing, everything done at one stroke. So this is how the caging and advantage of doing this particular process, wastage is minimized. Then when you are after the reinforcements are cut in place, then the story comes about the casting of the precast columns beams. So production facility in which the carousel systems for columns, walls, slabs is being used. It is in series, and multiple beams columns are getting casted here, and it is then this is the precast slab, RC slab. a full panel is as per the site conditions are casted. Sometimes when you want AC concrete blocks, so these AC concrete blocks are also manufactured in the factory. And advantage is simple, that very good thermal and acoustic control. Only thing, the strength, compressive strength in particular, is very less, that is around 4.5 MPa, but density you see when it is around 450 to 600 kg per meter cube. So as a result, overall weight on your foundations or in the structural design reduces drastically, so it leads to a great economy. So that is why use lightweight material for non-structural items and do the robust design lateral load resisting elements. The production facility, again in the factory, it's comprised in the way I have explained. These are the columns, these are the beams, and curing is not done the conventionally, but a racking system is there. In these racks, these elements are kept and steam curing is done, so you don't have to wait for 14 days or 27 days or whatever it is, and no need of any sprinkling and all. But within 24 hours, by the sprinklers, by the steam curing, you can get adequate amount of strength what you need for handling purpose. After the casting is going on, smoothing is going on, good finishing, this is embedding this particular thing into the chamber for curing, and this is how the construction is completed. And after which it is, so whatever the concreting and other things are done, it is under a strict quality control in terms of strength, which is very difficult to maintain at the site. And when you are manufacturing, a large amount of building components are generated, so it is very systematically stored at the factory itself, and whenever a need arises at the site, accordingly it is dispatched. You have to be very careful in transportation, you have to give proper cushioning, otherwise bending and other minor cracks is a common problem. So you have to be very extra careful in transportation of any kind of a precast building system, whatever the technology you are doing. So this is how the casting of large building components is being done at the site. Next is the erection and assembly. Once these components are brought to the site, assembled, additional reinforcement is provided at the joints, good connections, and then the hollow portion, which is there in this case, you can see in the columns, 5 MPa plus than the precast elements. So that is how you are achieving a monolithic construction objectives through prefabricated building components or technologies. So this is the basically one which is being followed. But before taking these particular technologies to the market, definitely it has to be tested in the laboratory. It has been tested at the component level at IIT Mumbai, and then on the system level for dead load and dead load plus live load for the higher storage, and at CBRI. This is the picture which shows that the full scale 2-story building has been tested under the lateral cyclic displacement control loading for evaluation of the building components and joints in particular for the seismic safety. And during the testing provided, and as a result, what we got, a very good beam column joints performance. And whenever we come across, so we have out of a curiosity, we have seen whether there is any separation which has been poured within the hollow portion. After that, we have taken the course. We have interfacial transition zone. There was no separation, and that gives the promising technology in terms of good monolithic actions. Based on the test, again, we have added interventions into the beam column joint so that when it is implemented at the site, it should perform exceptionally good. So after incorporating the suggestions given by C, that it will be safety. Again, when we talk about we will be more concerned about the dead load apart from the dead load, live load, or lateral load. In the testing, we have generated this load displacement curve. This is the hysteretic loop, and whatever the how much when the area under this particular curve is large, that good energy dissipation capacity, and which need to be there. So that has been achieved. Apart from that, you can see the displacement, a good amount of displacement we have observed, means it has not collapsed, but inter-story drift we have measured to the tune of 1.78% as against 0.4%, which is mentioned in our our code IS 1893 2016. So, 2002. या अब आ रही है आवाज? क्या कर दिया? आपने कहाँ तक देखा था बताएंगे? ये हो गया क्या? Okay. So shall I move forward now? Hello. Okay. No problem. Okay. Now it is closing. Sorry for the interruption and technology disaster rather. So you should be prepared for this kind of a disaster. So no problem. We will learn a lot out of this. So basically, when you talk about this hysteretic loop, you have to come. So this is the backbone curve, which indicates that the strength, stiffness, ductility, interstory drift, deformability has been addressed by this particular system in totality. And in view of this tested result in the laboratory, this has been recommended, and the system is being used in the ongoing construction activities to a large extent, and which is saving not only the cost but time as well. So with this particular, the way we have gone into detail about the 3S technology, similarly, other technologies are also there. So now I will take your journey to the different type of prefabricated or precast construction technologies which are prevalent in this particular country. Please be careful while using the terminology precast and prefab. Precast technologies are that in which the casting is done prior to brought to the site and assembly, whereas the prefabricated, so this is basically the RCC structural system, whereas the steel structural system or light gauge, that is categorized under the prefabricated building systems. So when you are talking about the prefabricated or precast construction technologies, so one technology which is called as a monolithic concrete construction technology, which is basically similar to the conventional mode of construction systems of RCC frame building systems with infill walls, whereas in these particular systems, in this particular system, the casting is done only at the site. Cast in situ monolithic action is achieved. Only thing is it is done by means of a designed modular formwork made up of aluminium, plastic, steel, or composites. Most of the time in market, you will come across Maiwan construction. In Chandigarh, you will find a lot of construction happening using Maiwan technology or plastic formwork. Steel formwork is rarely being used because of its weight, but definitely the finishes and other things are exceptionally good when you are adopting this plastic or aluminium formwork. That is, and or otherwise a composites formwork. So you will save a lot in terms of the plastering and cost in terms of material as well as speed. So in this, whatever the formwork systems are there, in this, first of all, when you are doing your again, the foundation work is done prior in the traditional way, and at the same time, the formworks are manufactured in the factory, brought to the site. By the time your foundation work is completed, erection of your reinforcement and placement of reinforcement is done appropriate locations, then erection of this formwork, and then cast in situ concrete is done within this formwork, and this formwork is removed at appropriate time, that is mostly the 24 hours for vertical elements and 3 to 4 days for the horizontal elements. So definitely finish is exceptionally good, and advantage of this particular monolithic concrete construction is that it gives an integral monolithic action between the vertical element, that is wall, and your slab. So in this case, while designing, most of the times you will get the reduced thickness of the walls and slabs because of integral box action in both horizontally and in vertical plane, and as a result, it reduces the consumption of natural resources, as well as the speed. When you consider at least twice the speed you will achieve in contrast with the conventional technology. Then apart from that, in this particular technology, the cost of repair and subsequent maintenance during its service life can also be reduced to a large extent. So this is very widely being used next to the 3S system. This is being used in widely in multi-story construction in northern India as well as across the country. Definitely, safety, serviceability, all tenets are being addressed properly. So this is how the construction, which normally happens using this particular technology, the foundations work is being done as per the site conditions and the load, what you are getting as a result of your design process, analysis process. Then erection of reinforcement, placement of the this appropriate formwork system, and then the casting, which is done monolithic fashion. So this is called as a removable formwork system. There is another technology, I will come in next few slides, in which these formworks are left there and there. So that is called as a stay-in-place formworks. So that we'll see later. So another technology, again, so whatever, first of all, initially I will be discussing about the concrete technology in precast constructions. So in this modular tunnel form technology is another technology in which the tunnel formwork is a mechanized system for cellular structures. It is based on two half shell which are placed together to form a room or a cell. This is just simulating conditions of a tunnel, and it is done in a single day. So in this case, the cycle time is reduced drastically, and as a result, you achieve a great speed. And safety is also ensured. Another construction technology which is prevalent is on the precast large concrete panels systems. In these particular systems, there are various precast elements. It is similar to the 3S system only. The various precast element in the form of a wall, slabs, beams, columns, staircase, landing, all projection systems. They are manufactured in the factory, brought to the site and assembled. So this is a 2D. That is, when you see the label, it is level 1, it stands. It is brought to the site, and then after bringing, it involves the design, strategic, yard planning, lifting, handling, transportation, and assembly of the precast system. And good connections is prime important in all precast systems. Then these precast systems, next one is the precast and pre-stressed precast prefabricated technologies. So in the earlier one, only the reinforced precast thing has been done. Next one, in this, in addition to the precast, pre-stressing is also being done. So this is a system called as a pre-stressed precast RCC technology, and there are different approaches using hollow concrete core slabs, beams, columns, solid walls. So this advantage of this particular system is that it can be used for a large span structures, and due to this concrete hollow cores, it is very good to accommodate the service lines, electrical and water supply conduits. Apart from that, important thing is it gives a very good thermal comfort and acoustic comfort. Apart from saving of the material, reducing the dead load. So this is one of the technologies which has been practiced very large in our country. Now I will, from concrete, now I am switching over to the stay-in-place formwork system, that is CISPO building technology. It is a patented technology. It makes use of the insulated EPS, first of all, as a shuttering kit. And in this, the EPS boards are placed either at different location. According to that, it is categorized in different categories. I will come to that module later. But basically, all the elements are provided. This EPS is provided with the welded galvanized steel wire mesh in the form of a lattice. And afterwards, if this welded wire mesh is provided outside, it is plastered or shotcrete is being done to have a good finish. So basically, there are different types of modules of this particular technology are available, in which the EPS, you are placing the EPS strips, whether inside or outside the installation. So based on that, whenever you are placing this EPS strips at that locations, you are providing this welded wire mesh appropriately to give the proper stiffness to the EPS and strength. Sometimes it is deployed inside the board is there, and outside insulation. What is the advantage of this EPS provision is to achieve more. It is providing the formwork system, at the same time it is stay in place, so it is giving a good thermal comfort as well. Then sometimes it is inside outside, so these are the different modules which are being used in practice quite often. Another system is the factory made fast track building systems, in which basically the skeleton beams columns are made in factory. It is basically makes use of hot rolled steel structural elements, either in the ice sections or hollow box sections. Sometimes the hollow box sections, if they are deployed, they are filled with the concrete, so that gives additional strength things. And then the infills are different kind of infills. Non-structural elements are in terms of the EPS panels, or there are gaps which are filled with the boards and insulation. So lightweight concrete they are normally putting, but placing the lightweight concrete within the two boards, fiber boards, rather fiber cement boards, is a difficult task at the site. So for that purpose, nowadays EPS concrete also people are putting into it. So as a result, you are getting a very lightweight concrete with good thermal insulation and comfort. What is the disadvantage of the previously discussed RCC elements is that the thermal comfort in the RCC elements like walls and other things are not achieved properly, because over the period of time in a day it is getting heated, but till 11 or 12 o'clock in the night it's still hot. So it is not giving good comfort, but this is the solution to achieve a good comfort level within the house in case of a hot or hot humid region. Another steel structural systems is comprised of the speed floor system. It is basically patented and primarily promoted by JSW Group in India, and basically it involves the speed floor. It is basically suspended concrete flooring systems using hot rolled steel joist, and as an integral part of the final concrete and steel composite element. And the joists are of different depth, are manufactured from pre-galvanized high tensile strength, and the joists are rolled form, punched, pressed and slotted in a fully CNC machines in the factory. So for that purpose, the tolerance is very less. So you have to achieve a very great accuracy in doing so. And just to bring it to the site, assemble it, the depth of the joist and the thickness of the concrete, it generally depends upon the span and imposed loads coming on the structure. Ultimate advantage of this particular system is that the cost saving, faster in completion, quality, sustainability, early occupancy, and easily recyclable things is there, because GI is there, lightweight, and these slots or puncher which is provided in the joist, they can be used for a multi-purpose to accommodate the service line, service features in the building, and you can do false ceiling and hide the things. So you can see these are the joists, and at the end they are not to be connected. They are not to be connected by means of a welding or a nut and bolt. There is a latching system, as you can see here. So this is fast execution. So, and these joists can be used for suspension for different accessories. Then next technology is on the light gauge steel frame systems. So this is, as name itself suggests, the light gauge steel gauge thickness may be ranging 0.6 mm to 0.9 mm, and it is widely being used for 3 to 4 story buildings. It can be a load bearing structures or frame structures. Whenever it is taken as a frame structures, then you have to provide certain steel sections depending upon the spans. And normally when you are putting this light gauge steel structures to encase this light gauge framing system, it is provided with the lightweight boards, fiber boards or cement boards, and the gap is filled with the lightweight concrete. So that becomes a load bearing element. It is very good suited for 3 to 4 story, good thermal comfort. And to achieve the better seismic resistance definitely will be achieved because of its lightweight. Additionally, if you can achieve, you have to provide additional braces into it, K-bracing, H-bracing, the way you can see in this picture. So as a result, exceptionally good seismic performance is achieved when you are adopting this particular building systems. But the problem, I will come to the problem later. So how the erections of this particular system is being done, this like after doing the foundation on the plinth beam is laid, and this particular this light gauge channels are fixed to the floor by means of the self-threaded fasteners appropriately at equally spaced, and then the assembly is done, and then erection is can be carried out. Then there are another systems. This is again a very promising technologies, but still it has to see the light of the day in our country. It is a ModuCast, which is again patented item, but it is a volumetric system, semi-finished, level 4, level 3 in my previous slide I have shown. So ModuCast building system, it is a volumetric construction. It is totally manufactured at the factory, just transported to the total unit has to be brought to the site, assemble it, make a good connection, and then later on do the finishing. So this is a system. Only thing you have to achieve good connectivity between the two different elements. It can be from single story to up to 10, 15 story, whatever you can take it up as per the design conditions. So there are different stay-in-place formwork systems, as I mentioned earlier. So in most of the things, people are providing EPS or other lightweight material, after which on the surface belted wire mesh, and then it is either plastered or short-treated to give a good finish. And while doing so, you have to so this is how the stay-in-place formwork EPS panels are done. You have to be very careful when you are putting at the corners this kind of a diagonal additional may provide, and then plaster to control the cracks if it all happens during the lateral loading or seismic events. So this is last insulated concrete formwork or stay-in-place formwork system, in which this is just contrary to the previous whatever I have discussed. This is basically a sandwich system or hybrid system. It makes use of RCC walls as well as EPS. In this EPS, this is called as an insulated concrete formwork systems, comprised of the two panels of two walls of EPS, separate, in which the adequate reinforcement and casting of concrete is done after this EPS boards are placed in. So basically these EPS boards are generally having thickness of around 60 mm. It is corrugated, and so that it is connected properly with each other, and on outer surface it is semi-finished, and concrete is cast, so no need of any shuttering requirement, and it can be and the reinforcement and the thickness of these walls are driven by the number of floors you are going in. So this is also one of the technology, but this technology has not been implemented in Indian condition as of now. So this is the some of the pictures of actual execution of insulated concrete formwork systems in not basically it is an Australian building systems. It has been approved by the BMTPC, which is the sole agency which is approving all this technology. Definitely CBRI is on board in advising the BMTPC in selection of appropriate technologies. Now I will come to the next one is whatever the technology we discuss. Limitation of prefabricated technologies is that this cannot be used for single unit, 1 or 2 units, but it has to be done on a mass scale. That's why it is very promising technology for mass housing construction. But when you are particular, definitely advantages are there. But when you are looking at from the TNET point of view, the safety, serviceability, economy, robustness, rebuildability, reconstructability, sustainability, you have to see all these things. So these are all aiming to the functionality. Whatever the technology you give to the users, they should be functionally efficient, and that's why in CBRI we have constructed or implemented all the technology in one of the park we have developed. You all are welcome to CBRI to see this particular park, in which 2-story buildings have been constructed having same geometrical dimensions, elevations, but technologies are different, and all the technologies not only simply being constructed, but they are being evaluated for axial load, lateral load, water tightness, because in all prefabricated technologies, water tightness or water leakages is a great issue. Then thermal conductivity, acoustic comfort, generating data out of it. Then durability tests are also being performed, and the data is collected and evaluated on regular basis. Then fire test and seismic test. These all tests we are doing on a full scale in CBRI in our construction technology demonstration park. And this is a unique kind of a park in our country, I should say confidently, which basically embodied right from the vernacular, right from the bamboo building to the advanced 3D concrete buildings, that is, I can say, blue sky construction technology, all are embedded. So here you can see in this particular thing, water tightness, how we have tested, not by simply ponding. We are not ponding, we have done. Apart from that, we have generated a cloud burst scenario. As per IMD, whenever the rainfall happens 100 mm per hour at a continuously 5 hours, then that particular scenario is categorized as a cloud burst scenario. If I make a spray or a rainfall of higher than that particular precipitation in different directions at different velocities on this particular building, and what we do, we monitor inside the building before the rainfall, during the rainfall, and after 15 days and 28 days, not by visually, definitely visually, but by thermal camera as well, so that minute penetration of water can be traced out. And that's how, when we will not see any penetration of water within the building, then only we can say this is the watertight structural system. So that test also we have performed. So you all are welcome in this to look inside how the test is being performed, technological development. Now, with this blue sky technologies, which is at the moment on a evolution stage, but maybe the 10 or 15 years down the line, maybe 10 to 15 years down the line, definitely this particular technology will be the technology which will be adopted, in which basically challenges material design, because more flowable material, self-compacting concrete should be there. Flowability maybe, or slump, when you talk about, should have 300 mm per hour per 300 mm slump. And then material selection is very important. And then for that purpose, you have to add certain additives. Apart from that, you need a pump. And after the pump, you have to cast, you have to do the concrete printing. What exactly 3D concrete printing? It is nothing but construction of a building or building systems layer by layer, not by manually but mechanically, by a defined pace and defined as per the design procedure, as per the architecture. And now this particular building, what you see, is a one-story building which has already been constructed in Chennai by one of the industry that is called Twista, and we are collaborating with the CBRI, this Twista, and now coming forward to have a full-scale building systems. And definitely this will be evaluated. So this is being done in the laboratory level. Now we are taking from lab to land. In summary, I should say, first of all, thank you very much to you all for patience hearing. But before closing up, I will say that the prefabricated buildings for housing is a promising technology for mass housing. Limitations I have broadly discussed with you, and definitely it is saving a lot in terms of safety, speed, and sustainability consideration. It should be a safe. That's why I'm not saying safe only from earthquake point of view, from multi-hazard point of view. It should be proven technology. To do that, the case study what I have presented has to be adopted in all the building system. We should not recommend any kind of a building system or implement any kind of a building systems in practice before its clearance from the laboratory. Otherwise, it will a good technology today may give a bad name tomorrow. At component level, extensive work not only in CBRI but elsewhere has been done. But now there is a time we have to switch over from component to system level. There are few technologies, whatever I discussed, they are good technologies which can be adopted case to case basis, and this is how we have to take the technologies from lab to land. For that, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and is also putting extensive effort in bringing these technologies to the land in mass housing projects, and for that purpose R&D intervention is a very prime concern. And before closing, I will say that in this COVID-19 scenario, technology, let us take a pledge that through technologies we can learn new things. This is an opportunity for all of us to learn new things. That's why, as we are learning the new things, that's why we are conducting webinar. Otherwise, I would have come to Chandigarh and spent my one day, and then so this is how the technologies can be put to the practice. And now it is your job to take these technologies to the practice. And in summary, our details are here. So basically, it is a journey which continues towards the perfection, and for that, everybody has to take a pledge on this. But ultimately, when you put your research outcome to the field, now people are aspiring for the change. Technology is a cheaper and effective way forward, and you have an opportunity to take your expertise, intellectuality through technologies to the common man. And that is when you see a single drop of water in the eyes of a needy person, I think your purpose of taking birth on this land will be served. So thank you so much for your patience hearing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. How many questions are there? What? No problem.
Yes, sir. Could you kindly explain on the connection, especially semi-dry connections?
Connections, good question. So there are semi-finished wet connections, dry connections. These are the two type of connections which is now being adopted in most of the steel structures. You are adopting welding wherever you are. What is the difference between wet and dry? Whenever you are making use of water, I am telling you in a very simplistic form, then it is called as a wet connection, and otherwise it is a dry connection. And preferably in steel structures, we are making use of welding, bolting, or male-female joints. So these are dry connections category. Whereas in the RCC frame structures, when you are what I have presented, two elements are connected by placing additional anchorage bars, or otherwise a headed bars or a couplers. And then what we are doing, we are pouring a self-compacting concrete, which again, that is basically to achieve the monolithic action between the precast and the cast in situ elements. So this is the category which is classified under wet connections, and the previous one is the dry connections. So dry connections are predominantly used in steel structures. So that's why this particular technology is also called as a dry construction technology, which makes use of steel elements. And generally, this in RCC frame structure, we are using wet connection. And to achieve the connections better, we have a couplers.
Okay, sir, please comment on loading, unloading, and transportation and lifting of prefab components.
Very challenging question. And in fact, I have discussed this thing because in one of the at one of the site that was an issue. The minimum casual approach has been paid by the execution agency while transporting this precast element very nicely casted under strict quality control. That is basically advantage of the precast and construction technology. But during the transportation, adequate packing systems has not been paid. Means they are making use of some crucible material like a foam, which will separate out between the two different precast elements while it is loaded on a truck or a transportation system. If we neglect that thing, so what will happen during the transportation, because our road conditions you are well aware of. Apart from that, when you are taking these things from factory to the site, there may be a good road or undulated roads are there, and during the transportation there may be a hitting or bending or shear of corners are taking place. To avoid that, there should be a proper cushioning should be given to each element, separated with each other, so that bending and corners cutting, damaging elements will not happen. Otherwise, if it has not been attended properly, what you will see. And important thing is at the site also, when you are lifting it, normally wherever the point of contraflexure happens, the designer has a duty to mention from at which locations while lifting the anchorage has to be provided. It should not be given at anywhere. At that location, when you give, the load distribution will be proper. There will not be any bending, and during the handling and transportation, cracks should not take place. Although in the design we take a care of handling stresses, but still sometimes we find and these cracks happens, and then there will be a hue and crack, and then you have to invest a lot on the repair. So these are the general cares you have to take. But when you see the quality, separate lectures on quality assurance control on the precast structural systems, which takes care of the tolerance and other things, more things can be highlighted. I hope I have answered your query. No, this is a very good question.
So what will be the cost difference for monolithically construction and normal construction?
Yeah, very good question I have seen. Or electrical, that has to be embedded at the time of, so for that purpose, standardization, modularization, and the whatever the detailing you have to do for taking out all these services, you have to plan it properly on board. Then appropriately you have to provide the conduits before the casting and leaving apart its ends at the appropriate location. So you have to take extra cares for adequate planning of taking out these services through this. But that will not be that will not compromise with your safety, that is sure. So you have to plan properly your structural systems, your services systems, and place it in proper fashion, proper location before casting. And that is being practiced properly also. Good question. This is not only the cost will be decided in direct cost, indirect cost. Directly material cost, when you count tangible, I think some noise is there in between. So if there is, these costs are considered as a tangible cost and intangible cost. Tangible costs are those directly you save in terms of a material. That will be around 20% to 40% you can save in terms of casting, precast construction. Important thing is intangible, I mean to say, the time you save, speed you achieve. So because you are completing your project, which can be done, so for example, cast in situ, you are completing that particular project in 1 year. And with this, there is around 40 to 60% of time you save when you are using the pre-cast construction quality and other things. Definitely you achieve a lot better in this because of properly and controlled design and execution in the controlled environment. So intangible cost in terms of a time is to the tune of 60%. In terms of material cost saving, 20 to 40%. And important thing, again, I would like to mention that you have to be very careful in the precast, prefabricated system about the joints. Most of the cases in past worldwide, prefabricated buildings failed miserably in earthquake conditions. Reason was very simple, that the integral connection has not been given adequate weightage and attention. So you have to be extra careful while connecting two prefabricated elements properly and execution at the site.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, as the lecture is oriented on mass construction, sir, the prefab technology cannot be used in the existing towns or cities, as we are aware. So, have you any program or discussion with central government or state governments regarding development of new colonies where this is feasible, either in mass production or in transportation and all?
Basically, yeah. So I would like to bring your attention.
Hello.
First of all, yeah. Hello. Yeah. Let me answer this question first. So again, here I would like to mention, and I have mentioned time to time in my lecture also, that prefabricated building construction technologies cannot be used for a single unit, but it has to be done on a mass scale. And in the present scenario, under this mission mode project on housing for all, Government of India under Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, MoHUA, has forced a lot to bring out this particular technologies on the field. So for that purpose, Lighthouse project is being coming out, and 6 locations also identified at 6 different states, in which around 20,000 houses are constructed using different technologies. This will be a pilot scale demonstration. And it is not like that, the way you have posed the question, that you cannot implement. So for that purpose, you have to see the technology and how many minimum ordered quantity, whether you are going for 500 units or 1,000 units. In that scenario, minimum, I think 500 units are minimum required, or when you are going for the steel structural formwork system, you need minimum 100 units. Then only the feasibility of this particular system is achieved.
Thank you, sir.
So there is a very big program which is being carried out, a resultant of a GHTC 2019, which has been taken place on 3rd and 4th March 2019 in Delhi. And at 6 states, the Lighthouse projects are coming. So because of this COVID, implementation has not been started yet. But maybe it will be starting in August, whenever this COVID is over, and will be finished within 3 months of time. Tendering and other things have been completed.
Thanks, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So what is the scenario of plumbing and electrification in the building? Hello?
There are various technologies which are available for the already answered.
Okay, so one more. Construction of a penthouse for an apartment to accommodate 100 people. Which technology you recommend with respect to economy and serviceability?
If it is in the previous question only I have answered. If it is 100, then 3 to 4 story building, light gauge steel structures is a very good technology for housing when you consider, or otherwise any structure, but that RCC, the staying formwork or light gauge steel is the better technology for 100 buildings, for residential building, 3 to 4 story.
How you maintain the uniformity of the structure by coupler?
Structure by coupler, I didn't get you. This is not a proper question. Coupler is basically connecting the reinforcement bar end to end. Okay, so when it is connected to end, so you are saving a lot on the laps, right? Now you are concerned with the strength, whether it is giving me adequate strength, the desired strength. So as I have mentioned, the strength has to be evaluated by conducting certain tests on pull-out. The way you are conducting the test on the reinforcement bars for its tensile strength and elongation test, similarly you have to conduct the test on the couplers for evaluating the joint efficacy. If it is meeting out this recommended or desired strength, you can definitely go for. So mechanical tests need to be conducted, and it has been very clearly mentioned in our IS 13920 2016 also that these couplers are allowed. Before implementation, it has to be tested in appropriate sets. And once it is tested and then implemented properly, safety is not an issue.
One more question. What?
Thank you. Thank you so much for each one of you for joining. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, yes, I'll be available. I'll be joining at 2:45. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye bye.